A lethal left has taken Brad Davis to great heights. A lethal left as in left foot. If you compiled a list of elite soccer players from this hotbed of soccer, Brad Davis would be right there. A midfielder, Davis reached the pinnacle at almost every level of the game. In high school at Chaminade, he was a 4-year starter and is the all-time leader in goals and assists. At Scott Gallagher, his team won the under-18 national title. He was a second-team All-American at St. Louis University. And after a couple of years with the Billikens, Brad turned pro and became one of the greatest players in Major Soccer League history. Remember that lethal left foot. Davis played 15 seasons in the MLS and finished with 57 goals and the third highest number of assists in league history, 122. In 2011, he finished second in league MVP voting. Brad played with New York, Dallas, San Jose, Kansas City, and 9 seasons with the Houston Dynamo. He played on 2 MLS Cup championships with Houston, and he was a 6-time MLS All-Star. But Brad reached the pinnacle of soccer, the dream of most young men when they lace on the soccer boots. When at age 32, he stood on the pitch in Brazil in 2014, listened to the national anthem, and played for the United States World Cup team against Germany. He's retired from soccer but works with Scott Gallagher's youth soccer operations in Kansas City and is the CEO of Bandit Brigade Outdoors, a nonprofit organization that takes veterans and active duty personnel on all expenses paid hunting trips. We're proud to welcome Brad Davis home and induct him into the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame.
It's on. Hello, Brad.
How are you, Billy?
Appropriately attired in his blue. He played at St. Louis University. Prior to that, played at Chaminade High School. Ron mentioned a brilliant career in Major League Soccer. Applause for the Brothers of Mary and the Jesuits. Brilliant career in Major League Soccer, the Metro Stars, Dallas, San Jose, Houston, Sporting KC, but you really had a home in Houston.
I did. First of all, I want to apologize to everybody. I'm not going to beat the last man's story, so I apologize right now for that. But
it's okay, yeah. By the way, Greg, thank you for the placement on the program.
But, yeah, one thing you realize when you stop playing the game, every one of the teams you mentioned besides Houston Dynamo have all changed the name of the team. So that tells you how far the game's come. I'm old. I've moved on from things. So, but it's been a fun ride, 15 years. Proud of that. It took a lot of sacrifices, a lot of family behind me doing it. So as any athlete knows it, and just said before, it takes a village. It does. So tons of support there, but the Houston Dynamo definitely made a home for me. 10 years there, so nothing but great things from them. And wife, 3 kids, built a family, and couldn't thank them enough.
And when you retired from Major League Soccer, 3rd all-time in career assists behind Landon Donovan and Steve Ralston, yet another St. Louisan. 6th all-time games played, perennial all-star in Major League Soccer, 2-time winner of MLS Cup 06 and 07 with Houston. You should have kept playing.
That's what my wife said, too. She doesn't like me around the house that much anymore.
But you played from 02 to 16 in Major League Soccer, and as Ron talked about in the video, Brad, you came to the national team late. So in that particular era, how did you change as a soccer player?
So this was definitely a defining moment for me. In Houston, Dominic Kinnear is my coach, kind of sat me down, and you're young, you're naive, you don't take things as serious. It's part of the maturation process. But he basically sat me down in his office, and I'll never forget this. He said, what do you want to do? How far do you want to go? And I told him exactly what I wanted to do. He goes, well, you need to dig in and start making some changes. And as much as I wanted to be upset at the moment, I couldn't be. I had to respect it. But from that day forward, we put a plan together that was going to get me going on the right track. So I really didn't even start my career. And everybody says, you wish you would have known what we know now back when we were playing. Yeah, 32. I went to the World Cup. Most everybody is in their mid-20s. That time, low 20s even. So I started late, and it was just something that I knew that I wanted to get there. I knew there had been a ton of people that put a ton of effort into making me who I was and supporting me, and I was going to do everything I could to get there. So it was basically time to turn that dial and focus in and start doing those things. And fortunate enough for me, even more people put their hand out and helped me any way that I could, and I was eventually able to get there.
As Ron talked about in the video, the set piece expert, the dead ball wizard, was Brad Davis in Major League Soccer. I bring that up, Brad, because there were 169 goals scored in the Russian World Cup last year, 73 of which were from set pieces, free kicks, corner kicks. It's an immense part of the game now.
Absolutely. Folks in soccer, you hear it all the time. Games are won and lost on set pieces. They're key moments in games. For me, at a very young age, I was always somebody that felt comfortable over the ball. Each athlete has their own strengths and weaknesses. For me, I felt comfortable. That was one of my strengths. It was something I continued to work on. Felt comfortable at a young age doing it. Fortunately for me, I was given the platform to be able to go out there and do it. Coaches had confidence in me, and it turned into something that was obviously one of my strengths throughout my career.
I must tell you that Brad has gotten the label as the left-footed David Beckham during the course of his career, and I can assure you, as magnificently and as consistently as David Beckham struck a ball with his right foot, Brad Davis did with his left. You come from a military family. When you were in Houston, you started Brad's Brigade. Do you still have an opportunity to be involved in military appreciation events?
I do. I want to tell one story. I promise it won't be long. But so when you said about David Beckham, so this is something that is stuck with me, and for athletes, I think it should stick with them too. Never forget where you come from. Never be too big for your britches type of story. So David Beckham, probably one of the most renowned players in the world. So we play him when he's playing with the LA Galaxy, 2011 and 2012. So this title comes out 2012, me being the left-footed David Beckham, right? So we'd end up playing in a couple all-star games together. We'd actually gotten to talk. Great guy, down to earth, humble. And at the end of the game, we had lost, but I went up to him and I said, I'd love to have a pair of your boots, soccer shoes. And he's like, I can't right now, but I'll figure something out. 3 months goes down the line. We get to our off season. We're getting ready for preseason. I have my son in my hands. Doorbell rings. I go to the front door. All of a sudden, there's a package there. I open it up, and it's David Beckham's boots from the final, signed. So for me, if a gentleman like that can go out of his way to find out where I live, maybe he didn't even do it, but I don't care. It was still the fact that it happened, is something that, for me, never walking past a kid that wants an autograph or going the extra mile for all those things. If a gentleman like that can do it, we all need to stay humble enough and go out of our way to do something like that.
And when the history of Major League Soccer is indeed written, there should be a chapter devoted to David Beckham.
There's a statue outside of the Galaxy Stadium.
The Galaxy
Anybody
Stadium.
see the spoof that happened on him, by the way? His arse was huge, huh? Nobody got that, sorry.
All right. But getting back to your connection as being...
Go look it up, you'll laugh after the fact, I promise.
You had mentioned on numerous occasions during your career that you were indeed from a military family. You started Brad's Brigade. Do you still have an opportunity to be involved in military appreciation events?
Yeah, so 2006, my cousin's in the military. Me and my cousin were very close growing up. 2006 comes around. I'm playing in Houston. Find out he was injured by an IED. And we didn't know if he was coming home or not. At that point, I really felt inside that it was time for me to step up as an athlete, the platforms that we have, try and do something, make a difference. So at that point in 2006, I went to our president. He was completely open-armed, said whatever you need. He ended up started with giving me a season ticket package. So I went to the military base in Houston, handed out tickets every game. We got 4 tickets. And it kind of built and grew momentum, started now doing military appreciation nights. Well, 2012 came around. I found another like-minded group. I love the outdoors. I love hunting. I love fishing. And I played soccer. So that's what I did outside of soccer, was hunting and fishing. So I said, what's something that we can do to combine both those and impact as many lives as we possibly can? 2012, Bandit Brigade Outdoors is formed, and it's still going strong today. Since 2012 to now, we've helped just about 800 servicemen and women and taken them out on various hunting trips.
Take you back here a moment. It's June 26, 2014. You're at the World Cup in Brazil. You're at Recife, Brazil, one of the venues, Estadio Pernambuco. It's 81 degrees. The air is muggy from the night's prior torrential downpour. Describe, if you can, your emotional makeup as you're standing on the field in the first 11 for the United States in a World Cup game against Germany, the eventual World Cup champions in 2014.
It's going to sound extremely cliche. We talked about this a little bit, but I can't. I can't describe that. So when I found out that I was actually starting the night before, I promised myself that I was going to take a minute. Once the game, you get out there, you start warm up, it goes quick. Once the game starts, you know, when you get into a game, it doesn't matter if there's 10,000 people or 70,000 people. The game goes quick, and it's all of a sudden it's gone and it's over. And I promised myself that I was going to take a moment after the national anthem, sing it, just to take a moment to really reflect on each and every person and where I actually was. And I cannot tell you how that feels, but I know that I can take it with me in doing that. It was, I didn't put that jersey on just for myself. I put it on for my family, for my friends, for all my teammates, let alone an entire nation. And I'm somebody that is extremely appreciative of that, and I wanted to make sure that I made myself take a moment to stop and remember everybody along the way that helped me get there, and never forget that moment and that opportunity that I was given.
Last question before we let you get out of here. Major League Soccer has the distinct opportunity. It's probably a 99.9% chance of coming to St. Louis. Brad, you've seen this league transform the various cities in which you have played. Tell the people who are still with us this evening what it would mean for Major League Soccer to come to St. Louis in the middle of our city.
I think it's the final piece of sports history. This is by far, in my mind, this is the best sports city that there is. And it's got soccer as one of its richest traditions, and there's no team here. So to be able to come here and put that final piece of the puzzle in the downtown area and have soccer and have all the major sports except for football, they didn't want to be here, so that's fine. But to bring that here, I truthfully think that soccer is such a small community, and now to finally be in one of the richest tradition in cities would be absolutely amazing. I think it would be supported. I think the fans would love it. Yeah. I mean, you see the success. The Rams did win. You see the success of the Cardinals. You know, you've seen the success of now hopefully our Blues again, and go Blues, huge Blues fan. So, but to honestly put that final piece of the puzzle together, I think encapsulates a city that's absolutely loves their teams and loves the sport, and I think it would be a huge win for everybody.
St. Louis at one time, as a follow-up to that, St. Louis was the soccer capital of the United States. Where that is now, we certainly don't know. But St. Louis, first, last, and always, will always be the birthplace of the popularity of the sport in our country, and that dates back to 1875. Ladies and gentlemen, one of the best left-footed players to ever play in our country, and the best left-footed player to ever come out of St. Louis, Brad Davis, in the St. Louis Sports Hall of Fame.
So I'm going to take 1 second. I've missed a couple of occasions to do this. So I want to thank this gentleman right here. He's been a gigantic supporter of mine, my family's, an unbelievable ambassador of the sport of soccer, not just in St. Louis, but nationwide. And I want to say thank you to you, Mr. McDermott, for everything that you've done for soccer in our country.
First of all, it's Bill, not Mr. McDermott. Thanks, Brad.